This episode is sponsored by the Freedom Builder System. For just $57 a month, you can get my custom Biz Builder AI, plus membership in the Freedom Builder community. Think of it as having me, your personal business coach and corporate escape Sherpa, right in your pocket 24/7. Biz Builder AI is your business building tool with 5 Sherpas in one powerful tool. It's a coach in AI form that helps you choose the right idea, create offers, build your financial runway, and market yourself without the cringe. And the Freedom Builder membership gives you the training, community, and accountability to actually follow through. So you're never doing this alone. Think of it as clarity, tools, and support all in one for less than the cost of a dinner out and a fraction of what you'd spend on private coaching. Check the show notes for the link, and let's get into today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Gen X Remix, Midlife, Laughs, and Next Acts, the podcast for bold Gen X women who are done playing small and are ready to build a business or career that lights them up. I'm your host, Tabatha Jones, the Corporate Escape Sherpa and Career Advancement and Leadership Coach. Be sure to head to the show notes to grab your free flip book, Escape with Confidence, a step-by-step blueprint to your bold next act. Now, today's episode is one you might want to listen to with your nighttime tea in hand and maybe while wearing your favorite cozy pajamas. My guest today is Carrie Cooper, a psychotherapist of 25 years who became a certified sleep science coach when she realized that none of her clients or her friends were actually sleeping. Some familiar midlifers, Gen Xers? I see you. She's the founder of Sleep Solutions by Keri, a virtual coaching practice helping adults finally get the sleep they need to thrive. Keri's advice is part therapy, part science, and completely relatable. If you've ever wondered why sleep feels impossible or if it's too late to fix it, this one's for you. So let's dive in. All right, Keri, welcome to the Gen X Remix. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited you're here. I love talking about sleep. So we're going to jump right into it. And we're going to start with, first of all, my favorite question. What is your remix story?
So I was trained as a everyday typical therapist, and I've been doing that for 25 years. And it was really within my practice that I started realizing I specialize with high school and college kids. And a lot of times parents would come in and they're like, Carrie, I hear all the great advice you're giving me. This is how I want my life to look. This is what I want to do. But I'm so tired every day. I can't do it. Like I have no patience. I have no bandwidth. I'm exhausted. And I was like, you guys aren't sleeping well. No one's sleeping, right? And then I went out to dinner. So it was a mix of two things. So then I go out to dinner with a bunch of friends and they're talking about this group text. And I was like, what group text? And why did you leave me off this? And they're like, it's our 2 a.m. group text. We know you sleep. And I looked around and I was like, none of you are sleeping? And they're like, no. What are you doing? Somebody's doing the dishes. Somebody's doing laundry. Somebody's doing work. Somebody's on the Peloton. What are you doing? Why is nobody in America sleeping? And that's when I said, this needs to change. Because even in my therapy career, I take a really holistic approach to therapy. And I've written 2 books, Mental Health Uncensored, 10 Foundations Every Parent Needs to Know. And then I have a workbook for the teens. And each chapter has included sleep because I know that sleep is truly the foundation to mental and physical health. And if you don't have that, everything else is more challenging. So I said, this is the key. This is what we're missing. And if we get the sleep piece fixed, everything else will come along much easier. So I went back to school to become a certified sleep science coach. Who knew a school existed for that, but it does. And what I loved about it was that it was so based in cognitive behavioral therapy, which was already my background, that it just came so naturally. So I opened up my business, Sleep Solutions by Keri, and I'm now a virtual sleep coach for adults. And it is amazing. And that has been where I have just kind of remixed my life from just my therapy practice, which I still have and love. But I feel so strongly about sleep and how it's the key to everything that I just have to spread the word.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And just your energy coming through shows that you actually slept last night. Congrats. So amazing. Oh, wow. There's so many places we can go on this.
Yeah.
Sleep is one of those really interesting things. I cannot imagine Pelotoning or doing dishes or anything at 2 a.m. When I'm awake, I generally have just random things going on in my brain. So let's just jump into, why sleep is so important and that impact that not getting enough has on our mental and physical health.
I always use this example when we start talking about sleep because everyone says, why is sleep important? And it's like, there are literally too many reasons to list. It impacts every part of you as a human being, every hormone, immune function, clearing out, all of your cells and the toxins. It does everything, reprocesses your memories. But I always say this, when we have toddlers around us, and they are melting down over, we cut their sandwich in rectangles instead of, squares. And we go, oh, they missed their nap. And everyone goes, yeah, I get it. They missed their nap. No wonder they're, not functioning at all. It's the same for teenagers. It's the same for adults. When you don't have proper sleep, you cannot properly function. You can't problem solve. That's why I give talks corporately, because your employees are not going to be doing the job they could be doing if they are sleep deprived. So it impacts your problem solving skills. It impacts your focus. It impacts your physical health. This is when your hormones are made in your body when you sleep that tell you, I'm full, I'm hungry. So I love every January when everyone's like, this year I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to eat well. And I'm like, you're missing sleep. You're missing sleep because without the sleep piece, you're not going to have the energy to go to the gym. Without the sleep piece, your body's not going to know when it's hungry, when it's full. So literally, it impacts every part of our mental and physical health.
Yeah, I can just relate to literally everything you're saying here because I know I'm a complete biatch when I don't have enough sleep, which, sometimes I'm like, okay, it's day 3. People are not going to be so forgiving today. But it does make a difference. And I find it interesting when I talk to somebody who says, well, I only need 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night. I'm like, oh gosh, if I'm like 8 is a good number for me. And I know that much less than that, I can get by on 7, but I know I feel my best when I get a full 8.
So everybody does need a little bit of a different amount of sleep, but roughly you need to go through around 4 sleep cycles in order for your body to do what it needs to do at night. So although there are those people who are like, I got 4 hours, I feel great, your body is not doing everything it needs to be doing at night on 4 hours of sleep. And also, some people are just very used to being sleep deprived and they don't realize that they could be functioning better and they think they feel fine. That's like when people don't eat well. They're like, oh, I'm fine. No, you're not. And if you actually ate better, you would feel better and then you would realize the difference. But we get stuck in these patterns of just thinking that how we feel is good enough. And we could feel so much better.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things I always like to ask is when it comes to sleep, especially because weirdly, I've had a lot of conversations about this. I have a naturopath that I see and a couple friends that we talk about sleep regularly, just because most of us aren't getting enough.
Right.
Is the pre-bedtime routine. I know I try to shut down electronics. I try to get the things out of my brain. I watch kind of mind-numbing TV sometimes or listen to music, but do you have a recommended pre-bedtime ritual that helps your clients sleep better at night?
So I do go over a pre-bedtime routine, which is a pretty basic schedule. But I'm going to tell you, more importantly, is what you do throughout your day, not what you do right before bed. But right before bed, yes, your room should be dark. It should be chilly. Your bed should be comfortable. You should be off electronics at least an hour before you try to go to bed. I always, if you can meditate, I always recommend that. That's always a good thing to kind of start relaxing. You should not be eating right before bed. Your body needs to digest and not be digesting while you're sleeping, because then your body can't do other things because it's busy digesting. And that's where I always have a problem. I'm going to go off on a tangent for a second. But that's why I always have a problem with so many people who live on coffee all day long and then drink wine at night to go to bed. And they're like, I fall right asleep. Okay, great. You do. But your body is now processing out alcohol and sugar. If your body's doing that, your body can't do the work it needs to do at night.
Got that. Uh, yeah, I know people. I think every time I hear something like that, I'm like, yeah, I know people that
Yeah,
are like
we
that.
all,
I
we all
am,
know people like that. Yes.
yeah, such a caffeine lightweight. If I have caffeine after about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm up all night. I blame a
Yeah.
slow metabolism. I'm like, metabolism just kicks in at like 10 p.m.
I'm the same
But
way. It really
yeah.
impacts me. And the same with dark chocolate, which I love
Oh,
dark chocolate. It's a great, snack. But at nighttime, I can't have it because I will be up and I know that.
so interesting.
Mhm.
So, what does good sleep look like?
Good sleep looks like you are waking up the next day, you feel rested. Really, the key is that you should not need an alarm to get out of bed. Your body should be in this natural rhythm where it knows when to go to bed and it just knows when to get up. So when you're waking up without that alarm and you're feeling rested and you're falling asleep around the same time every night, you're probably doing well.
Okay. That's a good way to think about it. I sometimes wonder though, my eyes will open at a random time, like 4 a.m. And I know that I don't want to get up at 4 a.m. Is that generally just my body saying, hey, you're done? Or is it
So
something
sometimes, and
else?
just like during the day, our circadian rhythm kind of comes and goes a little bit. So it switches on really at nighttime. But even during the day, we have that window, and most people know it. Around 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we get a little bit sleepy. It's just the way our body rhythms work. I always say during that time, instead of eating junk food or getting a sugar high, go for a 10-minute walk, and that normally will fix it. But at night, it's around the same thing. Around that 2 to 4 in the morning, some people just kind of wake up and then go back to sleep. It's fine. It's not a problem. Don't stress about it. Interesting fact about that, before electricity, like way back in the day, it was not uncommon at all for people to be awake between 2 and 4. And that's when like they would talk to their loved ones, write poetry by candlelight, have a little snack, like not atypical. It's called bilateral sleep stages. So
Ah,
it is somewhat ingrained in us where we get a little bit more awake between 2 and 4 in the middle of the night and a little bit more tired around, that time or a little bit later during the day. So it's not atypical. And that's why a lot of people wake up a little bit.
interesting.
Isn't that
That's
interesting?
That is very interesting. And I do just want to do a little PSA for the millennials, Gen Zers, or younger that might be listening. We didn't live before electricity. Gen X has had electricity our whole lives.
Right.
Even in the 1900s, we had
I
it.
just know about this from readings and research. I did not live this life.
We don't want anyone panicking. Oh my gosh, did they not have electricity? Yes, we did. This is way back a little bit before when. Wow, that is really interesting. I
Yeah.
have a friend that I was talking to. She is in the sleep and wellness space also. And she was telling me that when she wakes up like that, she will sometimes start kind of not just meditating, but sometimes having kind of conversations, like internal conversations with people she misses or kind of, spirit guide type people that I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of a good way to do it too." When mine happens, I get random songs in my head, like just so random.
And that's fine too. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
most important concept is that when that happens, or when any sleep disruption happens, that you're not getting anxiety over it, that you're not starting to freak out. That's actually why sleep coaching is so powerful to help people sleep, because we have to change your relationship with sleep. It can't be seen as a battle. It can't be seen as something like, I'm going to get that sleep tonight. And then you're laying in bed going, all right, well, if I fall asleep now, I'm only going to get 6 hours. If I fall asleep now, I'm only going to get 5 hours. You should not see your bed and get anxious. And unfortunately, because of poor sleep patterns, that's what happens to a lot of people. And that's what triggers these real sleep issues that we see. So it's really, I work with people so much, not just on the basics of, yeah, have, a dark room and a cold room and what's your bedtime routine, but also what's your relationship with sleep like? And that's why I hate the devices that track your sleep.
Wow.
Because I don't care what a device says. And I don't want you looking at a device constantly being like, oh, I got, 90% of my sleep score in. I don't care. I want to know how you feel.
Mm. That's the true measure of wellness, right? How do you feel? Not what some piece of data is telling you that may or may not even be accurate.
Right. And I
Wow.
don't want you getting into that cycle of battling it, of being like, well, last night I got a great sleep and now tonight I need to do one. Like we can't approach sleep like this. We're going to drive ourselves crazy.
Yeah. Great points. When, well, I'll just give you a little personal story. I am a melatonin taker. I have to. I cannot seem to sleep without it anymore. And I hadn't been sleeping without it before, which is why I started taking it. Are there any supplements that you recommend? Or, for someone like me, is there a recommendation to maybe get away from the melatonin and get into a better sleep cycle?
Melatonin is one of the more, natural ones out there, absolutely. And it does help you fall asleep. Melatonin does not help anybody stay asleep, but it does help you fall asleep. Short term, no problem. Long term, don't love it. When people do ask about supplements and everything, this ties back into an overall healthy lifestyle of you need to be eating well, you need to be getting enough nutrients in your system. And magnesium is very important for sleep as well. So I always say make sure, you're getting enough magnesium. Also, sunlight, especially in those winter months. The more you can get some sunlight, even if it's a 10-minute walk outside, the more your body starts understanding, oh, I'm awake now. And then, oh, I'm asleep now. So it's really about getting your body in those natural rhythms. And, I talked earlier about the daytime habits are so important for sleep.
Mhm.
If somebody's not exercising a lot, if somebody's sitting at a computer a lot, you're not burning enough to fall asleep at night. You need to be tired by the time you go to bed. You need to have felt like you've done enough, not just like I've done enough because I'm so stressed out, but I've done enough both actively and passively to feel like, okay, I'm spent. I need to go to bed.
That makes perfect sense. Last night, I did an hour-long cardio weight workout, and then I played pickleball for an hour, and I slept like a baby.
Right. Right.
It does make
And
a
you would have
difference.
probably slept without the melatonin too. You know what I mean?
But there was no need to risk it. Don't get silly. But you're probably right. And to your point with the magnesium, I take that with my melatonin just
Yeah.
because I know that your body needs that also.
And there's some
Okay.
great magnesium lotions like for bedtime and everything with like some lavender in them. And that's always nice. I personally love like a good lavender oil to like spray on your pillows to help relax you. All of that stuff is wonderful. And perfectly fine.
Love that. So this is going to be maybe another weird question for you, but why is it that it seems like men can pass out as soon as their heads hit the pillow? And women, we tend to be a little bit more on the it takes a while to go to sleep. And I know it's not everybody, but it seems to be a little bit more general. So I guess the question is, first of all, do you see that? And second of all, if so, what is the cause of that?
I see it. However, there is a shift in that. I'm
Oh,
seeing way more men in their 20s and 30s having sleep issues. So that's an interesting shift. And I think it does speak to I, I don't know, maybe how everything is looking in a home environment or when they're married and with children and stuff like that. Women tend to take on a lot. So when we're laying in bed, we are thinking about a lot. Not to generalize, but men, many times, not so much. Like they kind of go to work, come home for a little bit, go to sleep. Women are way more trying to balance it all, working, kids, volunteering at the school. So they have more going on in their heads. And that's why I think I am seeing a shift because I am seeing just a shift in that in general of, especially with people working at home, dads being so much more involved at this point.
yeah.
And now they're not sleeping either, but
I mean, that makes perfect sense. And it's so funny. Oh, we're going to give you a little TMI. I usually will move down the hall because I have a snoring husband
ah,
sometimes.
yes.
But
There it is.
it's like
Mhm.
you'll be laying there and 3 seconds he's out and you're just laying there. And I caught myself going, well, this just really sucks. And then I get irritated about that. But you're right. Like that cycle is constantly, okay, what's on the calendar for tomorrow? What did I get done today? What did I miss today that I forgot about? And like, oh gosh, let me put that on my list right now so I don't forget. I think it's just the different, to your point, the way that our brains kind of process
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah. And that's, you just said like, oh, let me write that down. Yes. I tell people a lot of the times, put a notebook next to your bed.
Mhm.
Before you go to bed, spill it all out. If you need to journal, if you need to write down, what do I need to get done tomorrow? That way it's there and out of your head. I'm a big person with visualizations. I really like them. So a lot of the times I'll say, like visualize your container. And when you have those thoughts, put them in your container and be like, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'm not ignoring my thoughts. I'm not trying to push them out of my head. I'm just saying I don't need to listen to them right now.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. So the list, that's what I took away from this. So make the list before you go to bed so you
Yeah.
know what's tomorrow's to do. Make that list of the things you forgot to do today that can wait until tomorrow now. And then anything that just kind of pops up so you can clear it out. I love
Yeah.
that. So simple, but I think a lot of us forget to do that.
I think one of the biggest keys for better sleep is knowing that it should be a priority.
Yeah.
Once we realize it needs to be a priority, especially for our health and well-being, then it gets better. But some people, it's like the last thing. You know that phrase, like, "Oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead." And it's like, well, you're gonna be dead sooner if you don't sleep.
Yeah.
So why don't you sleep now?
Great point. When a client comes to you for help, what is their general complaint? Are they generally realizing immediately it's sleep or do they come with something else?
They normally come to me straight for sleep. And normally it's either I can't fall asleep or I can't stay asleep. Those are the two complaints that I get. So what I do is, first of all, they fill out a lot of information for me ahead of time that I really go through to see what's going on in their lifestyle, what's going on in their environment, where are we getting stuck here? And then when I work with them, we really put very real life solutions into place along with just changing their mentality about sleep. So the two combined, I have to say, on average, people see me 4 times and they're done.
Wow, that's amazing.
It doesn't take a whole lot to get your sleep back. It really doesn't, because your body wants to sleep. This is something that it should be doing. It's normal, it's natural. Your body wants this.
Yeah, that's really great. Is there a sense of guilt sometimes for people that feel like they need too much sleep or they maybe are sleeping too much? And do you think that drives some of that sleeping less or
Definitely,
relaxing habit?
definitely. There's also that sense of guilt of, I have to do everything else first. My sleep should come last. And we really need to recognize that, because one of the things people don't realize, and I talk a lot about this when I give talks, is that when you sleep, you're going to actually get so much more done the next day. You're also just going to show up to everybody who cares about you and you love as a better person.
Yeah, I like that. It's very true. I just thinking back to just different conversations and, life in general for sure. And as women, because mostly the people I work with are women, we put everything ahead of our own needs. Everything for everyone all the time is so much more important than taking that time to focus on what we need. And, not even hadn't even considered the fact that sleep is on that list. It's
Right.
pretty
I
rough.
talk a lot about that with moms in my office. And I tell them all the time, I said, you are modeling behavior for your children, especially our young girls that I work with. And when you don't say no, when you take on too much, you are teaching your daughters to do that. And I see it. I see it every day in my practice. And actually, in my books, I have a whole chapter about how we have to be able to teach our children to say no to things that they don't want to do.
I love that. There's as a Gen Xer, there never really was an it's okay to say no time when we were growing up.
Yeah.
I love that shift of it is okay to say no. It is okay to take what you need sometimes. And I don't want to say it's selfish, but it kind of is, right? It's okay. I think we put a very negative connotation on the word selfish,
Mhm.
but selfish is about you, about yourself. And sometimes it has to be that way. It can't be 100% about everyone else.
We have swung so far in the other direction at this point where, I mean, parents are just bending over backwards, doing
Mm.
way too much for their children and really enabling them to where it's so harmful. But they're just, and I don't know when this happened, but it did happen. I know, we did not grow up with parents who did this. Our
We
parents
did
were not
not.
on volunteering everywhere and PTO and, making leprechaun traps for St. Patrick's Day. Like, we've done too much. We've gone overboard.
Way too much.
Um, so we need to come back into a middle ground. We really do, because
Yeah.
they're burnt out. They just are. And now we're teaching our children that. So now when I get kids in my office and I'm even trying to schedule therapy with them, they're like, well, I have this club, that club, this volunteer activity, this sport, this club sport. What? Like, your schedule's crazy.
Oh my gosh, it's so much. It is funny. I kind of think that shift happened. I kind of look at my son, he's 30 now, believe it or
Mhm.
not. And he grew up with, two working parents, and
Yeah.
he had chores, and he
Mhm.
had, when he moved out, I was like, oh my gosh, who's folding the laundry this week? Like, who's helping
Right.
me?
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of his friends, and he moved out at 20 and has been self-sufficient, built his own business, he's doing his thing. But a lot of his friends are still in that at home, because why wouldn't you? Your mom's doing your laundry, your mom's still doing the grocery shopping, still making your food. I'm like, dude, you're
Yeah.
30. Like, get
Uh,
out.
We're seeing a huge failure to launch in a
Yeah.
lot of
And
our 20
I
year
believe
olds.
it. And I
Yeah.
think they're afraid because
They
they've
are.
been so protected. It's like, what if I fail? It's like, well, it's okay to
Right.
let you fail. It's
Yeah.
okay.
One of my favorite things to talk about is, I always say, the moment your child can, and we're going off topic here, but
We
the
are.
child
I
can
warned you.
the moment your child can physically do laundry, they should be doing their own laundry.
Yeah.
Because one, if they don't do it, it hurts no one but them. Two, it teaches them that they can accomplish something. It teaches them time management skills. It teaches them pre-planning skills. Like, oh, I want to wear that and it's dirty and I have a game tomorrow and I need to get laundry done here. It is the most useful chore for your children. And again, it's not like dishes where now you're standing there and they didn't do the dishes. Now, what are you going to do? It only impacts them if they don't do it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's great. And a great philosophy. I don't know how many moms. I was up at 10 o'clock doing laundry because Stevie forgot to wash his baseball uniform. Well, I was like, Stevie would have been going stinky because I wouldn't have done it.
I give talks at school about my book a lot. And, one of the things I say, I give an example of my youngest. She was, probably, she started doing her own laundry, probably kindergarten or first grade. We would have to bring the basket down, but then she would take her step stool and do everything. And, I said there were many times when upstairs she would be like, Mom, I have no underwear. And I'm like, well, figure it out. And she did. And I don't know if she wore like dirty underwear, her sister's underwear, no underwear, but she survived, you know?
Exactly.
Now she's in fifth grade and she does a great job with doing all of her laundry.
See, that's so good. And it's so funny because, well, that's a lot of the philosophy of parents now is, well, if I don't do it, they're not going to have the thing. Well, if you don't do it and they don't have the thing, they won't forget to do it again. And
And they're going to
I,
problem solve it and they're going to figure it out and they're going
yeah,
to survive. And again, when you start with things where the risks are low,
right.
so they have to wear something dirty, so they don't wear their favorite shirts, they'll figure it out,
Yeah.
you know? But they need those small things before we can now throw them out into the world and there's bigger things at stake.
Right. And it teaches coping. It teaches, to your point, the time management and the balance, which would bring us back to sleep because
Yes.
they'll be able to figure out when to get things done so that they can get that rest when they're ready for it. I mean, I think there's just so many, we could talk all day about this stuff,
I
but
know.
it's just so good. So also, wow, on having her doing her own laundry that young. I let mine slide until he was about 10.
Oh, great. Yeah.
But he was doing the whole house's laundry by middle school because I was like, we're working and you need to be busy. So here's how this works. Um, so good. So back to sleep. If one of our listeners is thinking, oh my gosh, I need 4 sessions with Keri so I could figure this out, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
So definitely check out my website, Sleep Solutions by Keri, and email me, Keri at sleepsolutionsbykeri.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Sleep Solutions by Keri.
So good. We'll make sure all of those are in the show notes. So if somebody missed anything, they can grab it. And then with, I know we've gone a little bit all over the place. I did warn you, we do go down some rabbit trails, but kind of back to, your original message about prioritizing sleep and why it's so important. Do you have any final words of advice or wisdom for our listeners?
When people are thinking about self-care, sleep should just be on the top of your list, especially if you're suffering with anything physically. Sleep is only going to help.
That's so great. Thank you. Carrie, this was such a great conversation. I hope you had as much fun as I did, and that our listeners were able to take some great nuggets and hopefully put them into action. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This episode is sponsored by the Freedom Builder System. For just $57 a month, you can get my custom Biz Builder AI, plus membership in the Freedom Builder community. Think of it as having me, your personal business coach and corporate escape Sherpa, right in your pocket 24/7. Biz Builder AI is your business building tool with 5 Sherpas in one powerful tool. It's a coach in AI form that helps you choose the right idea, create offers, build your financial runway, and market yourself without the cringe. And the Freedom Builder membership gives you the training, community, and accountability to actually follow through. So you're never doing this alone. Think of it as clarity, tools, and support all in one for less than the cost of a dinner out and a fraction of what you'd spend on private coaching. Check the show notes for the link, and let's get into today's episode.